think we should be good.
Cool. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Ethan Millick, and I'm currently the president of the undergraduate student government. And welcome to the How to Run workshop, to how to run to be either an officer or a senator or a different position in USG. So I guess we'll go ahead and just go straight to the PowerPoint presentation, and then following that, I'll say a few more things, and then we can go into questions and answers. And hopefully, I mean, I don't really see this going that long, definitely not an hour, but probably like a half hour. Okay, something like that. But of course, we'll go as long as it takes to answer all your questions and get all the information you need. So, okay, Aaron, do you want to go ahead and share the presentation? Okay. Awesome. So this is the How to Run PowerPoint. I guess I'll just start with who we are. I don't know like how many of you are familiar with USG, but I'll just give a little background and then we'll go into the actual running and voting stuff. So it says here, established in 1930. Well, that's Brooklyn College. I'm pretty sure it was established in 1930, but maybe the student government also was established at the same time. But yeah, established in 1930, originally serving only full-time students. As of 2019, we now serve all undergraduate students. So a little background, we used to be an organization called the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences was the name of our government. It was really weird. And we only served full-time students, but then there was like another government for part-time evening students, and there was another government for academic clubs. So that was really weird, but we put them all together, and now we just serve all undergraduate students and clubs. So it's a lot more convenient. And that was recent. So we're a fairly new like government as USG. Some things that we like to do and that we have to do is provide funding for clubs and grants for clubs. I'm sure many of you are probably part of clubs. A lot of people on USG have been in clubs before, so they kind of know a little bit about the funding process. And another thing we love to do is host events. So traditionally and historically, it's always been like on-campus events that are very much like social, such as like movie night on the quad, finals and chill, and like the fall festival, or like what we used to call it, like Halloween. No, was it October? Well, no, we called it Brooktoberfest. Brooktoberfest is what we used to call it. And you know that was a fun event, and hopefully we do more of that in the future. But right now, as you all know, because of the catastrophic pandemic that we're dealing with, we're pretty much 100% virtual. So the events that we do, the meetings that we have, it's all virtual, and that's okay. We're still able to function, get a lot of work done. In fact, more work in some cases. But of course, it's not as engaging with the students, which is an issue. But then that just goes to what you as a student leader want to do in the future. So we'll get to that later. But and then another thing, the main bread and butter of student government is the cabinet and legislative members sit on different councils and committees, and they represent the students. Okay. And with that representation, you have to use your voice, you learn how to advocate, and you help to improve student life. Now, of course, there's a lot of like advocacy for campus related stuff, but because we're not on campus, sometimes that's like, at least more recently, that's not the case. Right now, we're mostly just advocating for just basic student and academic stuff that we want. And yeah, it works pretty well. And well, I could talk more about that later too, possibly. So yeah, Aaron, could you go to the next slide? Okay, eligibility. So for those in this meeting and for anybody who's interested, eligibility, only undergraduate students with at least one semester left may run for any office. No graduate student will be permitted to run for any office, because we're the undergraduate student government. The undergraduate students must have a minimum of cumulative average of 2.0, and students shall be permitted to serve in the same office in student government for a maximum of 2 years. So yeah, so if you're a senator, I think, yeah, you can only serve like 2 simultaneous years, and same thing with any position on the executive cabinet. So those are pretty basic requirements, but they're listed. So if anybody has questions, you can ask me later. Darren, can you go to the next one? Okay, basic structure of the undergraduate student government, and this is important depending on what role you want to run for, but we have the executive branch and the legislative branch. As you see here, executive branch, president, vice president, and the cabinet. And then of course the legislative has 27 Senate members. It's very interesting because we actually have the vice president who serves as the president of the Senate. So every Senate meeting that you go to, you're going to be seeing the vice president and having some sort of connection with the cabinet, right? You're going to be working with the cabinet, you're going to be hearing from them and seeing what projects they're doing. And you as a Senate member, let's say you're deciding to run for Senate, will definitely get to speak on that, or like say your opinion or give ideas, and generally just work with the cabinet to do what we said we're doing, advocacy, projects, all sorts of different things like that. I'll go over the actual positions real quick. So the thing about the cabinet positions is you're not actually running for, you can't really run for a cabinet position. You really are appointed for those. So if you are trying to get a particular cabinet position, the best you can really do is find a president, like two people who are running for president, vice president, and just support them and show that you support them. Give them your ideas for how you would make that position better and why you want to be in that position. And hopefully after they win, they will appoint you. If they choose not to, that is to their discretion. So, but the safe bet, if you want to be part of student government, no matter what, is to run for Senate. Now, not no matter what, because there is a capacity, but it's very like most people who run for Senate get into the Senate. So, and of course, with everything being virtual, there's a lot less participation. So it's more likely that I think you'd get the position if you run for it. Aaron? Okay. As part of USG, we have these things called committees. They're pretty much like small working groups that you get together, you talk, you discuss, and you come up with ideas. Senators can join up to one of the following legislative committees, which is Committee on Student Affairs and the Committee on Rules and Ethics. I'm not really going to make this whole thing about USG. It's about running and campaigning and stuff. So we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of each of these committees, but they have their respective roles. And they're both really like fun to be part of, depending on what you're interested in or what you want to bring to the government. And so I've actually served, before it was called Rules and Ethics, it was called the Government Operations Committee. And that was my committee. And I loved it. I wrote rules and laws and all these different things and all these like operations that we were doing. And it really taught me a lot about government, and it made me fall in love with student government and kept me going for all these years. So, and really any idea you have, you can go to Rules and Ethics. I don't know, I'm not going to get into it again, like I said, but senators or any students may show interest and join up to 2 executive councils. So yeah, these are just, so the committees that I just mentioned before are on the legislative branch and the Senate, and then these councils are on the executive branch, but you don't just have to be a cabinet member to join them. You can be a senator, or you can just even be a student, depending on the council. So we have club funding, we've got PB, but hold on for a second. We've got club affairs, club funding, elections, and the political council. Okay, so PB, that is just like a project we did a couple years ago, and we did it like 2 or 3 times, and it sort of mostly unsuccessful, those projects, because like the money that we decide to use for ourselves aren't really used in the way that we want it to be used. So it's not the best project in the world, and you can, each year the administration has the discretion on if they want to continue that project. This year we didn't, partly because of COVID, but also partly because this project doesn't really work too well. But of course, you can always update the bylaws and modify the council, or even get rid of the council in the future if you don't like it. Or you can do exactly what the council wants you to do and do PB if you want to. But so there's other things to do. So either if you sit on the cabinet or you sit on the Senate, either way, you're going to have things that you can engage in, projects you can join. But you really have to ask, I think, as a big part of it, is asking and just researching and learning as much as you can about Brooklyn College, about USG, and about the particular council or committee that you want to sit on, because that's where like the gears start turning and you can start actually introducing stuff and making the changes that you want to see. So, okay, Aaron. And also, well, I'm going to stop right here. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, so that works for me. All right, so on this next slide, we have running for the executive. Okay, this might be a big one that people really care about. So we'll see. So yeah, so students interested in running for the position of president or vice president must run as a single ticket. Okay, so you can't just run as president and be like, oh, just me, I'm good. No, you have to have somebody run with you as like a 2-person team, and that actually makes it a lot better. Trust me, it's not easy to run for like president or vice president in the first place, but to have that other person, that running mate with you, it alleviates a lot of pressure, and it makes things a lot better. Trust me. And so, yeah. And if you want to do that, you and your running mate will have to, well, okay. So then it says here, petitioning whether or not signatures will be required for the 2021 virtual elections. I believe this is not updated. Aaron, I believe it's that there are no petitioning, correct? There's no petitioning?
Yes, that's what court voted on, but there's nothing official yet that they sent us. So at the moment, we haven't stated that. But yes, if you can say it verbally over here, that's what they passed in the court.
Okay, right, exactly. So they did pass a policy that there's going to be no petitioning. but I will, let's hold on that. Remember, so a lot of the information I'm presenting you today, it's crazy because just think of it like between the pandemic and between like this crazy virtual year, a lot of even these procedures haven't even been like officiated yet. So even though they did vote for that policy, I guess it just has not been officially instituted. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's more looking on the side of you're not going to have to petition, so you don't have to worry, but you will have to declare. So we'll get to that in a second. Aaron, can you go to the next slide? Okay, running for legislative. On the other side of the coin, you have the legislative branch. Students interested in running for Senate must petition. Well, that again, we don't know yet. So just keep that in mind. And just again, I think right now is the best time. The best thing you can do is just think about what position you want. And then once you have that in your head, then you can start like coming up with ideas about like how like the changes you want to do and how you're going to run and all the different things. So let's go to next slide.
Can you possibly explain what petitioning actually means and how does it look in an in-person environment?
Yes, sure, I can do that. So petitioning usually at the beginning of a campaign cycle, you pick your running mate or whatever, and you declare, right? So you have to like fill out a paper and say, I'm officially declaring. And then you're given by the election commissioner, you're handed these like official papers that have like a bunch of boxes on them. It's like 25 each side. And you needed, I think historically, like senators need 100 and the president needs like 500, or the presidential ticket needs 500. So I've done 2 years. Well, actually last year, petitioning was like postponed, I think. We started it and we got like a couple hundred, I think, or something. Like we got like a decent amount, but then it was COVID, so things. And like I remember at the height of like right when we were just starting to hear about it, it was very serious, but they didn't cancel petitioning. And I'm just like a motivator who just like I'm not going to just give up. They didn't tell me, so I was out there like I think with a mask, like with gloves, and I was like, okay, I was giving pens to people. I was doing whatever it takes to get those during COVID times to get the signatures, but it was very dangerous. And obviously and I remember I told even the people who were running with me and supporting me, don't get petitions, just stop getting petitions. It's not worth it. I was out there just because I was like worried, but no, there's no reason to be trying to get physical petitions during a pandemic. That's just silly. And so thank goodness that they're updating the policy. In addition to the executive branch and the legislative branch, there is also other positions that you can run for, such as the University Student Senate. So I'm going to ask, does anybody know what the University Student Senate is besides Aaron or Ikra if she's still on?
Not really.
No.
I think
Okay,
Emmanuel, I think knows.
Emmanuel,
I think he started the Council of Presidents in LaGuardia. Emmanuel, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I was the president of the SGA at LaGuardia. So you know how that goes. I was a voting member of the USS. I helped out Tim and them. So I was pretty involved.
Nice. Gotcha. Well, there you go. So that's a perfect example. So some schools have it where like if you're the president, you're automatically a delegate in some cases like that. But at Brooklyn College, we just have it that you have to run, which I mean, I like it personally. I just like, because especially as being the president, it's been busy. I ran for USS delegate last year too, and I found that it's been very hard to be both. And I'm sure you understand that it's difficult to be both, but it's worth it. It depends on what you're into, but I like the idea of like having people run for it. That's what I prefer. But anyway, yeah, that's another thing you can run for. So if you meet the requirements and you declare your candidacy, you can also run for University Student Senate. Is basically just the student government of all of CUNY. Okay, so every single school gets like X amount of delegates depending on how their student body, and they all meet up like once a month at this thing called the plenary, and they just do exactly what USG does and just talk about student affairs. And it's really it can be positive. It can be positive. It's it can be tough, but as is all politics, as is all government, and as is all definitely student governance, right?
Sorry, excuse me. It's positive until it runs for like 6 hours on a Sunday.
That is very true. Yes, correct. Which is like every Sunday. So it adds up and it's tough. But it's again, it might be worth it for you if you're really into this stuff and you just think that it'll teach you a lot. It certainly can. In addition, we have the student disciplinarian. That is, the disciplinarian just sits on like the faculty student disciplinarian board, I believe, and they only meet when they really have to. This is a little more tricky. This is just more like that's that administrative post where you're just the student rep on the disciplinarian council. And then if like there's a disciplinarian situation or a discipline situation, the student will go to that council, and then at least they'll have like 2 student faces that they can like represent or care about them as students. But again, people don't really run for it. Usually it's like an empty seat and then we appoint someone because no one runs for it. But again, it could be interesting. Like, I don't know, it's an interesting committee. You get to meet people, and you get to be part of like Brooklyn College operations. So it could be interesting for you. And then you have the alt. So yep, those are just the alternative positions that you can run for. So Aaron, do you want to go to the next one, please? Okay, and here's actually, so here's the important information. Please, everyone, take notes, okay? So declaration period. Go ahead. Oh, no, go back to the last slide. There we go.
Sorry.
That works. So it kind of just all popped up at the same time, but yes. Yeah, so here we have the dates of what's happening. What's the current date right now? Sorry, guys, March 1st or
March 2nd.
March 2nd. Okay, so right now is the time where everyone needs to be starting to declare. Aaron, do we have like an official form for declaring?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the official form. And so, everyone should already have done that, but if not, do it now because that's really important. And also, I'm going to ask everyone to please share with your friends and colleagues and classmates, and tell them about USG, tell them about what is possible with USG, and try to convince them. And you never know what could happen. And March 8th is when it ends. So we'll have our candidates by March 8th. And that's when also you can start campaigning. Okay. And then, of course, March 25th is when the elections actually begin. What is the dates for elections? March 25th to what?
Let me check real quick. March 22nd to March 25th. So
Okay, so that's when it
we'll correct
ends.
that over here.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So March 22nd. So the dates are a little wrong, but there's going to be like, yeah, that's like 4 days. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. That's 4 days of voting. And while it's like campaigning is a little different than like the electioning, like it's still very similar. So while you're campaigning and no one's voting, you're still doing the same things. You're sending out your messages, you're developing your platform, you're looking for your team to work with you, you're looking for supporters. You're doing everything it takes that a campaign entails, but then once the election begins and people start voting, you're still doing that. You're still hitting up everyone who supports you. In fact, if not more, because that's when the voting actually is happening, and you need to make sure that every single vote gets in there on time. So that's when you hit up everybody. I mean, Emmanuel knows about this, and Aaron, of course, does too. You just have to work hard. Working hard goes until the last day of election. And so that's pretty self-explanatory, but okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. Sorry, I have to move this little square thing. Okay. So how to run for USG. All right, so step 1, declare candidacy, as we've mentioned, and please share this form with as many people as you can. Make sure that you do submit your headshot, bio, and schedule. It's really not hard. Just do it immediately. As soon as you get like a task to do, just knock it out, because you don't want to forget about it and then be like, oh, it's too late. And then then you're shot for the year. So step 2, campaign. Look out for campaign rules set by Quirk. Who knows what Quirk is going to tell us, right? They tell us something different every year. And then there's going to be, let's hope that everyone does clean campaigns, civil campaigns. And just because there is a lot of confusion, and so sometimes confusion leads to like hostilities amongst people, and it could get to a point where people like campaign violations, right? Where you think that person committed a violation, or people are accusing you of committing a violation. Just read the rules, okay? Read the rules, study the rules. And if you see someone doing a violation like we did last year, you tell them, be like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but you're doing a violation. You might want to like stop doing that, because that's a problem that could hurt you later. Don't just like save it because you think you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to tell on them later and get them disqualified. That's not what we do here at Brooklyn College. Okay. That's not ethical. That's even less like, okay, maybe they're breaking the rule, but that's just like ignorance, and that's okay. But like, if you're just waiting for them to break the rule, or trying to prompt them to break the rule or something like that, or not helping them if they do, just tell your opponent that, hey, you're breaking the rule, you should fix yourself, and just keep it civil. And that will make things so much smoother for everybody going forward. But again, if you really care so much about these little things, then by all means, if you notice a campaign violation, do what you got to do. If you feel that it's such a strong violation, you have to tell Quirk, go ahead. I'm not gonna say don't, but just try to be as civil as possible. because these elections can create a toxic culture and toxic environment, as I've experienced for many years, and it's just not good. It's not worth it to anybody. Even if you win, it's just not worth it. So just please try to keep that in mind. Remember, this is all supposed to be like not fun necessarily. I mean, fun, yes, but we're all supposed to be good people trying to do good things for the students. Okay, this is not New York City. This is not New York State. So it's just a school election, and there's a lot of good things you can do. So keep that in mind. And even if you lose, you can still do so much good things. Talk to the winner and ask them, hey, I know that there's this position, this position, this position. I want to do this, this, this. How can I help? Or what position can you put me in? All right. So there's so much opportunity in USG. The campaigns and elections are just one small part of it. Okay, so after campaigning, you have step 3, which is vote. Again, that's the big times, right? So from March 22nd to March 25th, you're hitting up everybody you know. You're hitting up all the clubs. Now last year, you cannot get endorsements last year. Historically, you could. Last year, you couldn't. This year, they're probably going to be like no endorsements again. But pay attention to those rules. But that doesn't mean you can't hit up the club and be like, hey, I don't want an endorsement, but I do want you and your votes, right? I want your votes, and I want you to hit up all your members to like ask them to vote for me, because that's just a good strategy. So those are the dates, and just make sure that they know DC Web Central. So what we used to do when we promoted our own campaign, we would have, oh, this is Ethan and like Ethan and Sam, or Alyssa and Ethan, and here's how you vote. Here's how you vote. You go on DC Web Central, so you can like specify exactly how to vote when you're promoting yourself. That's just also another good tool to use. Okay, Aaron. Okay, voting. That is a lot, but all right, I'll try to make this easy. Oh, well, thank you to Aaron, because Aaron actually made this a lot easier now. But here's how, like, this is like the more traditional way to do it, right, Aaron?
Yep.
Right.
Correct.
So this is the traditional way to do it, where you log into Web Central, you cast your vote. Yeah, it says right here, press the cast your vote button. Let's see. You just follow the prompts. And you write in. Yeah, because even the ballot tells you exactly what you're doing and how to vote. So you don't have to worry about that, as long as you know to go to Web Central and that you're promoting that to your potential voters. And you can choose to vote later by pressing the I will vote later button. I don't know why you would do that. You'll be able to access the elections channel. Okay. Is there anything I'm missing, Aaron? Anything important here?
No. So the way that we streamlined it is that you have now a direct link that will take you immediately to the election. So basically you can skip almost everything over here on this page. I'm going to be working with the administration with student affairs, so they send out that particular link. So as long as the person who you're interested in him voting knows your name, should be pretty obvious to them how to do it. Yeah.
Solid. So yeah, that's another really good modification to our system. So thank you, Aaron, for that. And again, we as USG will be promoting it a lot ourselves, because we're going to want as many voters as possible. So if anything, you could just like copy and paste what USG writes, and or share the flyers that we make and make it happen. So, okay, can we go to the next one? Okay, campaign advertising rules. Quirk is in session regarding these decisions. Yes, they are. And we as USG will let you guys know, of course. We'll send it. I'm sure Quirk will send out an email to like the declared candidates, but also we'll send out our own, like we'll promote it ourselves to you guys, and definitely let you know about those rules. Again, things to pay attention for is like endorsements from clubs, and petitioning, which like, again, there shouldn't be any petitioning. Anything else, Aaron, that I'm missing that could be relevant?
No, the campaign advertising rules, we can send the stuff, I guess, from last year. Still, yeah, Quirk is in session regarding clubs, endorsement from clubs. I know a few senators were trying to push for that. We are not aware if they're going to be allowing it this year. There's a whole entire debate about that, if it's a conflict of interest or not, but we're not going to get into that. Once we get any information, we're going to put that on the website as soon as possible and notify everybody. So yeah, please stay in contact with us. And also stay up to date by visiting the website, which actually, once we're finished, we're going to take a look at that. I guess.
And wait, I want to let me say something else. So there's a difference between like campaigning and governance, right? So in governance, it's sort of don't quote me on this, I know it's being recorded, but whatever. It's sort of like the ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission kind of thing in governance when you're actually doing stuff. in campaigning and elections and stuff, it's just better to ask for permission. Just don't do anything unless you're confident that you can do it. Okay, because you don't want to just compromise your entire campaign because you're just like going that little extra farther. No, just if you don't know, don't do it. Don't even try it. Don't risk it. And governance, on the other hand, you gotta do some governance every once in a while. Got to make it happen. But no, please be careful with the campaigning because it does people get in trouble. People get in trouble. So, okay, next slide.
So the next one is thank you. So I thought maybe we can take a look at the website and how it looks.
Yes, perfect. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to say a few words about it. Ethan, feel free to jump in and yeah, elaborate a little bit more. So this is the main website for elections. Okay, we're planning on keeping this updated as much as possible. So first of all, at the homepage immediately, you're going to see the options to see who we are, what we do, how to run, and how to vote. Okay, on the tabs on the top over here, okay, you're going to see a few options, but what I want to take a look at first of all is possibly the structure that Ethan actually built. So possibly this will give a little bit of a better, let's see if we can take a better view at this. Ethan, do you want to explain what the structure over here is?
Sure. Yes. Very quickly, we have Constitution is the king of government. Okay, everything comes down to the Constitution, not the president, but the Constitution, followed by the bylaws, which explain the Constitution a little more, broken into two branches. I mean, you guys see the chart. I try to make it as very clear as possible. Again, you can't really run for cabinet positions, so you have to find a president, invite like a candidate for president that likes you and will work with you. But you see how the committees are split, and then you see the boxes on the side that say like chair of cabinet, deputy chair of cabinet, president of student senate. Those are like the billets. I don't know if you guys know what billets mean, but it's just like those are like the jobs that those people have to do. So the president is automatically the chair of the cabinet. The vice president is the deputy chair of the cabinet, but is also the president of student senate. So you see how it kind of aligns. And then of course the chief of staff, our very own Aaron Grama, is the clerk of the cabinet, but also the clerk of student senate, but also much, much more in our hearts, you know? So, and so, yeah. And then of course and I always like to say like the foundation of government is meetings. Okay. So that's really, if you're going to be doing anything throughout the year as a student leader, is going to be going to and participating in meetings. That's where stuff gets done.
Yeah,
and
perfect.
then yeah. Okay. Go on, Aaron.
Okay, so the next, I would say, one of the also the most important parts of this election website is actually the governing documents. Okay, so anyone who is interested in running, okay, I would highly recommend that they actually look at the governing documents. There's a very detailed explanation basically inside the Constitution and bylaws about the responsibilities that you're running for. So if it's the student senator, you're going to know that if you miss 3 meetings, that could be a violation. And the same idea basically with the president, what your responsibilities are throughout the year. So I would highly recommend everybody to read the Constitution. You're going to see over here also more information, such as the referendum that we have and where the student activity fee goes to. You're going to see over here the Robert Rules of an Order guide, especially the vice president who's going to be running the Senate. You're going to have to know how to run a meeting. And the language that we use inside meetings. There's also the BC governing documents. Okay, so this is also very important to look at. It's less critical, I would say, right now for the election, but it is important to know in general. There's the BC Student Governance Plan, which will tell you exactly how many students can be on each committee. So this is gold, to be honest. If you're running for president, you need to have this guide in
Let
order
me
to know what's
let me
going on.
add something to that one. Just to make it a little more clear, and Emmanuel probably knows this. Emmanuel, the Brooklyn College governance is different than USG governance. Okay, so whereas USG governance is us, by the students, for the students, Brooklyn College student governance has all the different stakeholders. So you have administration, faculty, and students all in governing positions, right? And a lot of the students' positions are appointed by the USG president, but nonetheless, they still are a very important position. So I like to kind of separate the two, where I know of like what's going on in USG, everyone, what positions there are, who's in those positions, and then you have Brooklyn College and all the different councils and committees that they have, and the students who are in that. So right now, all we've talked about today are the USG governance, because that's really like what this whole workshop is about. But I could give a whole nother hour-long workshop, and Aaron probably knows this, that of BC governance and how like convoluted that is. but it's important because obviously student representation amongst ourselves is important, but student representation amongst the entire Brooklyn College community is also very important. So that's another thing where, let's say you lose your election or you don't get the position you really want. Okay, well, there's so many other positions that need student representation that just don't have it because like it's already so hard to get students to be student leaders and involved, but there are the positions for you in whatever interest you have. So go on, Aaron.
Maybe do you want to touch on that same topic about the CUNY governing documents? What's the difference between that and BC
Ooh.
governing documents?
Same thing, just a whole nother layer. Same thing, just a whole nother layer, and it's rough out there. But you can learn them. They're all there. This is why we have this page, to keep it as organized as possible that you can just like review really quickly about like all these different things. As you see, I don't have the entire CUNY general manual or the entire Board of Trustee bylaws, but we have the important articles that matter to us as student leaders. So we have Article 15, students, Article 16, student activity fee. And then down there, the general manual, you only have the policies that really matter. So governance of the university, student government, and student stipends. So yeah, nothing too crazy, but those are like those take precedence. So of precedence, it goes CUNY, Brooklyn College, USG. Oh, actually, United States of America, state of New York, and then go on,
Okay,
So
perfect. Okay, so should be giving, I would say, to most of the students some kind of like idea of what they're getting into. Okay, and I would highly recommend to everybody to read that. In addition, what I would like everybody to see is the calendar that we have over here. We're going to try to put over here all the information about exactly the campaigning, the election, when it happens, with a little bit more information. So you should see this, all including Senate meetings. Like later on at 6 o'clock, we're going to have a cabinet meeting. It's open to the public. Anybody can participate. Well, you can't speak in the meeting, but you can attend the meeting and see exactly how it works and how it operates. In general, you're going to see over here an option also to click on Quirk, which will just lead you to the Brooklyn College website with a little bit more information about the college-wide election review committee. We ourselves, we have an election commissioner, which we will post later on. But yeah, you can also reach Quirk from that shortcut over here. Now, what I would also recommend everybody to look at is the current USG. Okay, so this is at the moment is the current USG. And if you're running for president, for vice president, if you're running for a senator in a Senate position, I would highly recommend to reach out to one of the people who are inside that position in order to get a more understanding of what you're getting into. Okay. I don't want people to go in and get like win the Senate position on one hand and then be like, oh, there's meetings every week. I'm not interested in that. I'm busy. So you want to know what exactly your responsibilities are and the impact that you can make on Brooklyn College. We do highly recommend everybody to join a student government, even if it's a position that you don't think that is necessarily the biggest. Even the small positions have a huge impact of how stuff work in Brooklyn College. We're talking about the credit no credit policy that you've seen this year, about the proctoring. The credit no credit policy, if it wasn't passed in our Senate, the cabinet couldn't have sent it to Brooklyn College, the policy council, which in turn wouldn't have turned into any credit no credit policy. So it is important, okay, that everybody plays their role over here and actually moves forward, kind of like legislation for the students, so we actually work together. So as you can see over here, you can reach out, for example, if you're interested in the position of the press director, possibly as the press director, who you can contact about that and how she got the position in the first place. As Ethan said, you're going to have to go through the president and vice president, but that's the idea. So this is going to be the current USG. You can take a look at that and make sure, yeah, to catch up with the current students. And this is regarding the USS. Same idea exactly. You can reach out to any over here of the representatives to hear more about the position and the responsibilities in it. And to the parts of the website where we have over here the slide that we went over today. It's under the How to Run tab. And you're going to see over here an option to fill out the form, which I will touch in just a moment. And you're going to see over here the How to Vote section, which is also important. And that will be once the How to Run is not going to matter. That means after the deadline in March 12th, the How to Vote will be the centerpiece basically of the website over here. Okay, so regarding filling out the form, okay, it's supposed to be very simple. And I'm just going to go over a very a quick overview of this. So once you click on fill out the form, you're going to be moved to a Google form where you can fill out your information. Once you put in your email address, and the purpose of the email address, let's be clear, it's just to send you all your responses right to your email, so you can have a copy of that. Okay, so you're gonna have a
Wait,
copy of
let me cut
exactly
you
what you
off.
uploaded.
1 second,
Yeah.
Aaron. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to like knock this question out. Do you have last year's results so I can get a feeling of how much campaigning I need to do in order to help BC become a better place? I will look that up. I think I do. I do have like past results from like previous years, but last year's results are important. So I will try to find those and share them with you, Richard, and everybody. So just to let you know. Well,
perfect.
let me add real quick. I think I got like our campaign got like 200 something votes. It was it was like
It
250
goes a
or
little bit
something.
more.
Yeah, it was like
But
250. I think.
350 compared to the others who got around 250.
Okay, right.
I
So
believe that's what it is. I have
yeah,
a
usually it's
video
a
of
lot.
them
Usually
showing
it's
the
like
results.
I think it probably just about cut in half. Usually it's like double that for every election. But last year, because of the pandemic and everything, it cut in half the numbers. But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully they go up this year. We'll definitely try for that. But they probably might just stay around the same. But as hard as you can go, you know. But again, I'll find those results for you because that's better information than what I have to say. So, Aaron, sorry about that.
Oh, good. Okay, so at the first part, basically of the form, you're going to fill out the basic information about yourself. You're going to have to put in an EMPL ID. So unless you put in a number, it's not going to work. Under Brooklyn College email, you have to put a BC email. If it's not a BC email, it won't work. Okay, so you have to follow the instructions that we do over here, and it's extremely important. It's not like I'm doing it for fun to piss off people. So yeah, we need your Brooklyn College email in order to figure out exactly if you are eligible. So once you fill out all this information and you put in the amount of credits and graduation year, let's just put something over here. And then you can decide if you're interested in an elected position. By the way, if you click no, you will be taken to the committee positions, which are not a running position. So that means you can be part of USG or BC governance without actually running for an election. And I would highly recommend to everyone to actually fill it out. Whether you're running or not, fill out the committee positions. But let's go for the elected position, because after that, we'll get a chance to visit the committee positions. You have to choose the academic status. So once you click on that, then you're going to see over here the options that you can run for. So these are the candidate options: president or vice president, student senator, USS delegate, USS alternate delegate, student disciplinarian, and alternative student disciplinarian. Let's be clear, the student senator has 27 positions basically available. So usually it's not filled all the 27. That's how it worked every year. It most likely will happen this year, the same thing. So I would apply for this. I mean, worst case scenario, you can always talk with Hamilton. Hamilton is our liaison who will ask you if you're interested in the position after you won. If you don't want it, you can always say you're not interested anymore. But yeah. We have also over here the section, and right after that, you have to upload your course schedule. You have to upload a headshot, and then you put in your bio. Anyone who fills out the president, vice president, I know there's someone over here inside the meeting who filled out president. You have to make sure that your vice president also filled out this information. Okay. I know you filled out some information about his name, but that's only for our record so we can match him with you. Okay. You still have to make sure your vice president fills out the document. And by the way, to the person who knows who filled out the president, your vice president has not yet filled it out. So make sure he does. Yeah, and once you finish that, then you're going to be taken to the committee option. And let's see if we can just go back over here, because I do not want to upload stuff at the moment. I'm just going to click on no. And this is how it looks, the position for committees. So you can choose as many positions as you want over here. Anything that interests you, you can decide that you want to be a part of the tech fee committee. You can be a committee in the committee on the honorary degrees. And you can see more information over here in the picture of how much representatives you're going to have on each committee and the specification of what is needed in order to be on the committee. So please feel free to take a look at that. You can also ask for it to be on a position on the executive council. This is not going to be part of BC governance. It's going to be part of USG governance. So you can be part of the club funding council, the club affairs council, elections council. And yeah, that would be all with that. Over here also, you're going to have an option over here to upload a headshot and bio. Okay, it's not required, but I highly recommend to do that in order for the next administration when they choose people for the committee, so they know exactly who they're talking to. And not only who they're talking to, but how would they choose them based on the bio, I'm assuming, not based on how long the name is or whatever. So yeah, so once you finish that, then you're going to have the option to fill out feedback and comments, and you can ask to send me a copy of my responses. You're also going to have over here support at bcstudentgov.org. You can always send an email, shoot an email over there, and we're going to try to help out as much as possible. And Emmanuel, I see over there a question: who is running for president, vice president? I don't know. Does the person want to say? Over here, if he's
If
running.
they want to, they can. If they want to, they
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I figure it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, if the person wants to say that he's running for president, you're more than welcome to. If not, then Emmanuel, everything's going to be public on the BC. Oh, David is saying that he's running. Okay, so he's running for president. But all the information will be public at some point, and I'm also going to be putting everything in the candidates section over here on the website. Okay, so any potential president or vice president, I'm going to try to put their picture and some kind of like bio. We do it every year, but this time it's a little bit more organized. And yeah, we're going to try to make sure that they have the option also to put some kind of like communication, like an email or social media that they're interested in people following. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. So that is the website. Okay. Okay. So now, before I open up for questions, I just want to know, are there any questions specifically about this website? No questions about this website. Okay. I mean, it's a great website. It really is helpful. I don't know where Aaron was 4 years ago, but that would have been very nice for the last couple of years. But okay. Anyway, I will go ahead and now I'm going to open up the floor just for general questions about anything, about the PowerPoint, about the website, about our experiences, about the future, about whatever you want to ask. Please feel free to ask. So does anybody have a question?
Yeah, quick question. So the declarations won't be announced until after the deadline, right?
Not necessarily. I might start working on the candidates page a little bit before. If you don't want your name up there at the moment, let me know, and I'm gonna try to make sure that it's not available to anyone. And I'm gonna ask the newspaper not to post about it until March 13th.
Okay.
But you have to ask me that, because that's, yeah, you're running for public office, so it's usually public disinformation. You just want to give a chance for people if they want to retract or if they want to add themselves until the last point, so there's no rumors or anything like that. So yeah.
Okay. Feel free to also write your question in the chat if you're just like not trying to talk right now. That's fair. So we can read it and answer you. And also, I'm going to open the floor. Any more questions or concerns, comments, anxieties about running?
Should I stop the share? I think you could stop the share.
Yeah.
right?
You can go ahead and stop it. So there's only a handful of people on here, but again, I mean, I trust and hope that you guys will all like go to your friends and colleagues and classmates and clubs and tell them, let them know that there's so many available positions and so much good work that you can do and so much opportunity. And it always leads to more stuff later on. So it's very much worth it. Okay, but any more questions from anybody?
Yeah, I have a question. This is just like a general one for like you guys. So before you guys like ran for like an executive position, did you try to do like a legislative, like try to become a Senate before that, or like get involved with something else?
Okay, well, I've been in government a long time, so I started off as a CLAS assembly member because they didn't have a Senate, they had an assembly, and then I went that first year because I was sworn in late, but then that same year though I was made the deputy speaker, so that was kind of cool. Or it was like kind of like, I don't know, what's the deputy speaker? The deputy speaker is kind of like the chief of staff back in the day. That's kind of what it was. And then the following year I ran for assembly again, but then instead of being appointed later on, I just ran for deputy speaker, and then I was deputy speaker the entire year. And that was my legislative career, because then after that it became USG and we immediately ran for president and vice president. I ran for vice. So yeah, I mean, I was definitely part of like the legislative branch. But back then it was so weird because the executive branch didn't do anything. They had 3 people and they didn't really do anything. It was like president, vice president, and treasurer, and they just sat there. They did nothing. Whereas the legislative branch, we did all the work. We did all the purchase orders, all the payments, all the organizing. We did all the events. We did everything. So it was kind of strange. That's why we did have to change it up. But yeah, that was my experience. Aaron?
Yeah, I started as a senator. I was only a senator for 1 semester. But I believe without actually being in the Senate, I probably wouldn't have run for a cabinet position. Or USS, as a matter of fact.
And
I was a little bit
know-
intimidated by it.
And I think we have, because we have right now, well, we have Shade, which is 1 senator, but also David was a senator, I think, at one point, right? Yeah, he was a senator too. So we have 2 senators here, right?
David was a senator?
David in this chat. Or in this.
David
in this
Towell?
Zoom. Yeah, I thought he was. Was I wrong?
Maybe Robert Towell?
Oh, that's different. Oh, yeah. My bad.
Robert Towell, yeah.
Might be. Oh, fair enough. Okay, but yeah, no, well, yeah, Senate's good. Senate's, it can be fun, I feel like. I like to say now, I don't know if you guys are familiar too much of like the legislative process, but one of the things I like to say, and actually one of the things I'll leave you with before we close off this meeting, but and I'll let Aaron say what he needs to say, but student government. Okay, so student government, I like to say, is a tool. It is a tool that can be used to accomplish and do anything your mind could possibly imagine on campus or within the realm of Brooklyn College. Okay, you can change policies, you can make projects happen, you can give money away, you can do pretty much anything that is in your head, you can pretty much do. Now, how do you run student government? You run student government through meetings. Okay, you have to show up to meetings, participate in them, come up with your ideas, and then speak on them, right? And publicly speak. And it's hard, and you have to practice, and you have to do politics, right? You have to talk to your friends who are on Senate. You have to talk to your fellow senators and come up with and collectively come up with ideas and build consensus to get those ideas passed. So meetings are how you run student government, but it's the legislative process is how you run meetings. Okay. So by knowing legislative process, you can control meetings. By controlling meetings, you control student government. And by controlling student government, you can make change happen. So, I mean, it's definitely important to learn all you can about student government. It's very important to learn about meetings and Robert's rules and especially go to all the meetings that you're told to go to, that you sign up for. And then finally, the most important thing that like goes over a lot of people's heads and they don't really get into it, but is the legislative process. You have to know like basically how to construct a bill so you can actually get the change you want to happen. Okay. And students can do that too. Rachel's in this call right now. She helped with writing legislation. And so she knows a little bit about the process, and it's a big process. Like it doesn't, people like, oh, that's boring or not important. No, it's like the most important thing of student government is like knowing how to write, like how to propose things and to build consensus to get those things passed so that change can happen. So it's those different layers that you can kind of keep in mind. And that's how you do stuff. Aaron?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share something very quickly that Rachel shared with me. Thank you, Rachel. So as someone asked over here, what was the numbers? So actually, Ethan was completely right about it. There was for Ethan, there were 257 votes, and the next person was 201, and the next person was 128.
So what's that
Yep.
total? That's 570, 590 something, almost like 600 votes. So 600 votes.
Yeah,
that's actually not. Yeah, usually I wonder what it was back in the year prior. I don't know if you have that, Aaron. Do you?
This one, no. This was one of the lowest, I think, results that we had in
Yeah,
Brooklyn
well,
College.
of course it was. I don't blame myself for that. Like we did really good campaign. All 3 campaigns, I would say, did a pretty good job campaigning. But there's only so much you can do when you're not on campus and you don't have, and like you can't get clubs to endorse you, and it was not the best. It was not the best situation. But that's a great picture. Can you send that to me, Aaron? Because I do not have
Yes,
that.
I will.
looked for it. I couldn't find it.
That's Rachel actually gave me it. But
Thank
yeah,
you, Rachel. Awesome.
There's also over here, it's important to note, and Rachel also wanted me to say this. Take a look over here at the assembly. The assembly you have over here, only 6 people were listed on the ballot. Okay, only these 6 people were listed. So that means another 20 people just got in by writing in their name. That means if anybody would apply to be a senator, they would most likely, as long as they got 2 votes. And I mean, if you're listed over there, I mean, people would, I mean, like half of the senators over here who ran didn't even have to promote themselves. Just people saw their name and they clicked on it. Because I mean, you can click up to 27 people, and there's only 6 people over here. So I mean, why not just click on all of them? So I would highly recommend to everybody, if you are not sure about something, run for Senate.
Yeah.
There's no harm in that. And
It
yeah,
really
and
is
the
really- it's a
USS
really good
delegate,
idea.
that was also a power struggle. I beat you
Well,
over
because
there.
I came
Ethan,
in
I just
late,
want to
so
say that.
when I first got to CLS, I came in late, so I couldn't just run. But I really wanted to be part of student government. There, and just like this year, actually, it's full. Like we actually did a really good job this year of just keeping it, like so many senators like wanted to participate, which was really nice. But like there was like one vacancy when I tried, and then I was like, hey, I've just hung around student government for a long time, and then I was like, hey, I would like to be nominated to be part of the assembly, and they did. They nominated me. They voted for me. I had to like give a little speech. And they put me on assembly, and then like literally if like a month or two later I was the deputy speaker just because like I was good and I cared a lot. So it's really, yeah, it is really awesome just to have that opportunity to run for it and to sit in Senate for a while. And then of course the vacancies open quick. It's very transitory. So we're blessed this year, super blessed that I don't think we haven't had a single resignation from cabinet. But like last year we had everybody resigned. I myself resigned from cabinet. Okay. So that just shows you like the vacancies are like that. And then we had Jessica, who was a senator, get nominated for the VP position. So, or appointed and approved rather. So like you know, it's the opportunities are there. It's just a matter of like getting your foot in the door and then just holding that place and just waiting for opportunity, whether that be in terms of positions or projects that you want to do, whatever the opportunity is, it's there. So, okay. I guess like last call for any questions or concerns or comments.
The meeting, you said that there in the beginning that there's a meeting at 6, right? That we could attend to like watch what actually goes down. Can I ask you like where would that like link be, or you know?
I'm gonna share it over here actually. Yeah. This is going to be a sample of how it works in the cabinet meeting. It's a little bit of a, I would say, it's not as big as the Senate, like with 27. That means I had today the Senate meeting that I was chairing at 12:15. Those are usually a lot longer. And there's a lot more debates because obviously there's 27 people and not only 8 people like in the cabinet. And usually in the cabinet we have mostly the same mindset. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely a nice experience. I would
be careful. I mean, sometimes we have the same mindset. Yeah, it gets very political, and it gets. I would also say this for those who are like super sensitive to certain things. Sensitive topics come up, okay, and whatever you believe is what you believe. But you have to just be strong, and you have to fight for what you believe in, okay, and that's just like like sometimes you like I'll say this, and I've said this before. Student government is not a safe space. Okay. Now I'm not disparaging safe spaces. I recognize the importance of safe spaces. Student government's not one. Okay. So just be prepared, be mentally like ready for just like certain topics that might be pretty sensitive to come up. And, you know, worst case scenario, you just remove yourself from the room or the meeting. But yeah, I mean, these are important things that students have to deal with every day. So you're a student leader. So get ready to discuss on those things and to speak your truth, but also to be as compassionate and patient as you possibly can so that you can build consensus and hear where people are coming from and hopefully get to a resolution at the end of the day. So, and yeah, we're gonna have the cabinet meeting like right now. I'm not the most prepared for it, so don't think it's like the biggest, craziest meeting in the world, but it's just like a small little cabinet meeting we're having. And it should be pretty enlightening. So it'll be cool. Okay, all right. So I will take like one more question if anyone has it. Yeah, cool. Thank you for the compliment. Yep, thank you, Richard, for the compliment. And then Emmanuel, that's okay. Solid. Good to hear. But okay, cool. I guess this is where we can end it off now because we're at 6 o'clock. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming through. Please contact me or Aaron at any point, or Ikra or anybody on cabinet. And I'm just very much looking forward to seeing how this goes down and what you guys run for and who wins and all this stuff, and basically what happens next year, because I'll be watching for sure. So, okay, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you, bye.
Aaron, I will see you in Discord.
Mhm.